Okay, today we're going to be looking at the volume of a triangular prism, and to calculate the volume of a triangular prism, we just remember that volume in general is going to be equal to the area multiplied by the height or the length. And we can think about this as calculating the area of, say, this face shape and then multiplying it by our length, 11 millimeters. So that's what we're going to do for this entire lesson, is just calculate the area of different objects, face shapes, and then ultimately multiply it by length to determine volume. So let's get started with A. So in order to do this, we have to remember how to calculate the area of a triangle. So our volume for this shape is going to be equal to our area of a triangle, which is half times the base. The base is going to be 4 millimeters times the perpendicular height of the shape, which is 6, and times the ultimate length of this particular prism, which is 11. Alright, so we can do this in a couple of ways. An easy way to start off doing this is to essentially multiply the first two, and a half of 4 is just going to be 2, so this simplifies to 2 times 6 times 11, which is the same as 12 multiplied by 11, which is 132 millimeters cubed. And that's the volume of that entire prism. Same idea for B. We just really have to make sure we're identifying the right parts. Now typically they won't give you any information in these questions that isn't helpful, so you don't really need to find out what's wrong and what not to use. We just need to correctly do our area calculations and then multiply it by our height. So our volume is going to be equal to half times 9 multiplied by 6, and then finally multiplied by our height, which is 14. Right, so again, you can simplify this if you would like to, and you can rearrange it in any way if you want to do the calculation a little bit easier. So if you rearrange this, it could be, you could end up with half times 6 times 9 times 14, and that would be equal to, well, half of 6 is just going to be 3 times 9 times 14, and that would be 27 times 14, which is ultimately going to be 378 centimeters cubed. Oftentimes you'll find rearranging different questions which involve multiplication can lead to some easier answers or calculations. Alright, let's do C. So for C, our volume is going to be equal to half times our base, which is 5. 5 will be, let's say, up here, multiplied by 6, which is the height of our triangle, multiplied by 11, which is the height of our shape. So for this particular one, the volume is going to be equal to, well, half times 30 times 11, which is just the same as 15 multiplied by 11, and that means that the answer is going to be 165 millimeters cubed. You can see how when we can get to multiples of 5, calculations can be a lot easier. Alright, here's a few for you guys to practice, so give the video a pause, give them a go, and then I'll solve them. Alright, let's get started with D. So for D, our volume is going to be equal to half multiplied by 6 multiplied by 7 multiplied by 15. Okay, so then our volume can be simplified further if you would like. It can be equal to 3 times 7 times 15, which is the same as 21 multiplied by 15, and that just equals to 315 meters cubed. So that's our volume. Now an easy way to think about this when we're doing multiplication is just try and keep these values that are multiples of 5. They make your calculations a lot easier. Alright, now let's do our next one, E. So for E, our volume is going to be equal to a half multiplied by our base. Our base is going to be 8 multiplied by our height of our triangle, which is also 8, multiplied by our height of our prism, which is going to be 14. So our volume is instead going to be equal to 1 over 2 times 64 times 14, and that means that our ultimate volume is equal to 32 multiplied by 14, which just equals 448 centimeters cubed. Alright, let's do F. So for F, the volume is going to be 1 over 2 multiplied by our base, which is 17, multiplied by the height of the triangle, which is 11, multiplied by the height or the length of the prism, which is 28. So our volume is going to be, what's an easy way to simplify this? 11 times 17 times 14, and that means our volume is going to be equal to 187 multiplied by 14, which means our volume is going to be equal to 2,618 meters cubed. Right, that's it for this video. Hopefully it's helpful, and I will see you in the next one.